So I had a good understanding of the business acumen, but then this huge learning curve of just who is being trafficked, what is the problem, if someone is, what does that even mean? Do we need to move? Because it doesn't happen here in the great state of Texas, is my thought. How would we serve them? So if law enforcement has identified somebody and they have this individual in the back of their squad car and they don't have a place to go, why would they take them? Why would they bring her to us? Do we serve boys? Do we serve girls? Do we serve minors? And how do we serve them? And how long do we serve them? And what services do they need? Like, why in the heck would she come and live with me?
Yeah.
Right? Why would she come and trust us and live with us? What does referral sources look like? So I started visiting with all these other nonprofits in this space, but whether that be drug rehab or homelessness or eating disorder, I started learning all of these things overlapped with the population that we were going to be serving, pregnancy centers. Not only the anti-trafficking on the legislative piece, but all of the in-between, and really was able to put together a package, so to speak, that was a deliverable program. Okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. And we opened in January of 2020.
Welcome to the McKinney Podcast, the show that celebrates what makes McKinney unique by nature. This podcast exists to spotlight the people, the organizations, and the events that shape our great city. You can count on every episode to tell a compelling story and help increase your awareness and perspective on what's happening around McKinney. Your hosts for this fun-filled adventure are Fred Mahusay, owner of FredShots Photography, and James Jenkins, CEO of RiskWell. Connect with us on YouTube and on our website, McKinneyPodcast.com. Now, let's get into it. Hey folks, welcome back to the McKinney Podcast. We celebrate what makes us unique by nature. I did the proper intro this time.
Yes,
aren't you so proud of me? We just ran right into it with the last episode.
Gold star for James.
Yeah. Our guest for this episode is Alicia Bush. She is the founder of the Treasured Vessels Foundation, which is an organization that combats human trafficking here in Collin County.
The only one.
The only one.
The only one.
Welcome, Alicia. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And sharing the incredible work that you all are doing with people that have been dealt a really unfortunate hand in life and helping them get out of it.
Yeah.
Now you're definitely doing the good work, so to speak. So as we start every episode, I'd love to hear your backstory. However you want to share, family, hobbies, upbringing, how you found your way to Texas or McKinney, or really whatever you want to share to give us some context on how you got to this chapter in your life.
Okay.
So Fred's going to hit you with that first question we always bring.
When your feet first touched the earth, what soil was that?
Great state of Texas.
There we go. Now,
Yep.
Where in Texas?
East Texas.
East?
So as
Oh,
far
East Texas. There we
northeast
go,
as you
James.
can go.
Yeah.
Texarkana is where I was born, but raised in Redwater, which is population 500. I graduated with 69 in my class, went to the same school that my mom went to and my aunt. And so very, very tiny roots.
So Redwater, home of the fighting what?
Dragons.
Dragons.
Although we were blue.
Redwater, Blue Dragons?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Make that make sense. Okay.
I Puff the Magic Dragon. I don't know.
There might have been some puffing going on.
Maybe.
So James, you have familiarity with East Texas. You ever been to Redwater?
I have seen it on a sign. I mean, I've been through that part of Texas. I was born in Longview.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So
Right.
a lot of people will say, Tyler, Longview, when I say East Texas.
Because Gladewater is right next to
That's right.
Longview.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
But you're right there at Texarkana, though. So you're really
It's probably an hour and a
pocket.
half northeast of Longview.
Yeah. And we're like on 30, just between New Boston and Texarkana
Yeah.
on Highway 67.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Because Old Boston is in a different state.
That's right.
So it's New Boston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Old Boston is just a little bit north of here.
Just a smidge.
That's right.
Like 1,500 miles.
That's right. Okay, so what was it like growing up in Redwater, home of the fighting dragons that are blue?
It was good. Like I mentioned, it was very small, so very kind of varsity blues cheerleader. You could be a cheerleader in the band and run track and do all of those things.
Because all those slots were open for you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And did you do all those things?
I did all those things. I don't know that I did them well. I cheered well. I danced well, but I don't know that I did the other opportunities well. According to I played clarinet. Yeah. So we'll just leave that there.
Okay. So you said there were 69 in your graduating class?
Yeah.
So that means your high school had a population of approximately 400?
Or less.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a football team?
We did.
Yeah.
It was we went between 2A and 3A. Sometimes we were 3A because we did pull from other communities. But yeah, we had a decent football team from time to time.
Okay. Y'all bring home the hardware at the end of the season?
No.
You said it's like Varsity Blues, so you know.
Yeah, Varsity Blues. I'm just thinking like drinking beer and smoking cigarettes. Kind of it's what you do on a Friday night. You go to the football game, and I don't know.
And then you cheered in between smokes and beers? Or, that was separate. Okay, all right. Moving
Where
on.
are you going with this?
I have to confess, was not born in Texas.
Okay.
But
I thought you were about to confess that you did a lot of drinking and smoking in football games.
Yeah, no. I grew up in a small town in Florida, but, seeing Varsity Blues and, to me, that was like, nobody takes football at that level. Friday Night Lights, we had those in Florida. Then we moved here and I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That actually is more like a biopic than, and I was like, I talk to my friends, everywhere else, and I'm like, listen, that's like facts. That's facts.
It's a documentary.
Yes. You live, eat, and breathe football on Friday nights. And well, actually here, also Thursday nights, because we all want to be in the nice big stadium. And I didn't realize that football got played in stadiums like that. I'm sure that was just Hollywood, but that's facts also.
Right.
So that was amazing. So you did all the things, band, cheer, dance, track.
My parents own the only grocery store in Redwater and Maud population of about 1,500.
Was that one grocery store between the two? Or two grocery stores?
Two grocery stores. My maiden name is DeLauder, so it was DeLauder's Grocery. We processed deer, had a deli, fruits, vegetables, all canned goods. It was
So
is hunting and fishing part of your growing
all you
up
need
also?
now is a taxidermist and a video rental store, and that's
right.
basically all the city needs.
That's right, and it was a dry county as well. So
Really?
So if you wanted alcohol, you drove across the state line over to Arkansas.
Or so you heard.
So we heard.
That's
yes.
right.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Because no one ever actually did that.
No, because you don't want to bring alcohol across lines, state lines.
No. We're a family show, Fred. We should probably. The moms listening in the vehicles are just like, guys, where are you going with this?
Suffice it to say, Sunday morning, you're front and center in the middle of the pew of the church, right? Because
Yep, Church of Christ. Grew up Church of Christ. My parents we just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary.
wow,
They still
50.
live in Texarkana, or they live in Redwater, still in the same house that I grew up in. And then my brother went to A&M, and he came back and took over the stores, which we actually have one store now. And now we do have alcohol in the county, so it's to kind of change the dynamic of what's available and like stores and what you're meaning with businesses, those kinds of things.
So are you like a remote staff for the Redwater Visitor and Convention Bureau?
No.
Yeah, okay. You just promoted all those things, so we just want to make sure. Now, do you have plans to move back and take over the family home?
No.
You're going to let the home go when mom and dad go?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And you're going to let actually, your brother has a grocery store.
Yep. And my brother has a grocery store. I left as quickly as I could and got to the city as fast as I could. Yeah.
And which city was that?
Denton.
Yep.
Went to North Texas.
What year was this?
It was 98.
All right. Denton was a city by then.
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes back like 100 and something years, right?
Yes, absolutely. Denton Square actually is an amazing place to walk around and photograph.
Now. It's so different than when I went to school.
Light.
Yes.
McKinney Light. Okay.
McKinney adjacent. Yeah.
Their downtown is good.
Yeah.
It's better than most. It's nothing close to McKinney.
Their central
McKinney's
courthouse has grass around it, like appreciable lawn.
Yeah.
And that's
that is nice. I do like how big that square is. Our square is smaller, but so much better.
It's
and
pretty.
Our impact, as soon as they remove all the fencing and everything like that, it's going to be an amazing structure. An amazing.
They're repainting the exterior, right?
Yes, they're doing, and they're redoing the interior completely. So that's going to be amazing. So
it was getting pretty sad in there.
Yeah, Denton Square exterior, mad props. McKinney Square, Impact, interior, actually McKinney Square, right on top. Can't beat it.
Fun fact,
Can't beat it.
everything you see on my arm happened on the Denton Square. So with the exception of that one right there, but everything else is from Dark Age right on the square.
Oh, wow.
in Denton.
Okay.
So,
Shout out to Dark Age.
yeah.
Although they should open a McKinney studio.
I'd love to have a great tattoo artist who's not, a 50-minute drive from here with traffic.
There we go.
So if anybody, I'm looking to get some additional work done. If anybody knows a local amazing black and gray realistic tattoo artist, let me know.
Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time swaying them away from your man over there in Denton.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so UNT.
UNT.
And you studied clarinet?
No. My parents didn't go to college, so I didn't have a lot of anybody. My dad actually wanted to pay me to stay home and start a business.
Scholarship to stay home.
Yeah.
That's entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And we do want to say for our listening audience that collegiate degree is not the qualifier for being successful.
Sure.
I have multiple college degrees. I have a master's and I'm not using it.
Yep.
And so I have to say that. But so were you tempted to stay home? No.
She said she got out of there as fast as she could.
But money.
Yeah. I mean,
money.
growing up, I always wanted to live in Manhattan. And my parents are like, what is happening? Like, you grew up in a small, tiny little Texas town and you just want to go to the big city and you want to go to the wildest, big city that you experience. And so I went to North Texas. I looked at LSU because I like their colors were purple and gold.
Another Louisiana. The last one was Louisiana that we just recorded
because
with.
Their colors were purple. And, I didn't want to go to Lubbock because I felt like that was far out there. And my dad said I couldn't go to UT because they were too liberal. And so there wasn't a lot of thought that went into what I was looking for my...
You just wanted out.
So UNT, they called me back. I majored in psychology, biology, and a minor in chemistry. I wanted to go to medical school and be a psychiatrist. And then I had one of my professors tell me, she said, all the psychiatrists that work in mental facilities, usually they go crazy too. So that really kind of deterred me from, I'm like, Welly,
you got to have an outlet for the baggage.
I know this is true.
Like the psychologist needs a therapist to unload on. And then that therapist unloads their stuff on somebody else.
Right.
And then somebody else. And then somebody else. Like, we all need therapy.
That's
I'm
right.
convinced.
Yes.
So you chose to not go that route.
Yep. I met my husband.
Yeah.
There. He grew up in Denton. And I said, I want to go to medical school. And he just said, your personality is all in. And if you go to medical school, you'll never have a family. You'll never, you will be all in to that.
You'll lose yourself to the career.
Yep. So I chose a different path. So in sales, I went into sales, medical device sales. So I had the best of both worlds. I was in the operating room for 14 years on the sales side without clinic each day and without the responsibility of an MD, but a high level of responsibility being in the operating room and the intensity of that every day for 14 years. So
it's a drug.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a pre-med and I spent about 500 hours of observation standing right next to the surgeon. So I really miss that. That was a thrill every single time you scrubbed in.
Yep.
So I'm commiserating with you that you don't get to do that anymore. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, I agree. And I worked in the emergency room. So a lot of medical device, you specialize in a specific, general surgery or, I did the belly first. And then the second product that I had everything from the neck down. Mm-hmm. So I was able to go into the emergency room. I did OB, I did plastics, hearts, knees, joints, everything.
So were you doing biologics or hardware or durable medical equipment or what?
Endomechanical was my first.
Okay.
That was when I was in the belly. And then the other was, it was a pain pump, but it was placed intraoperatively. So it had a local anesthetic that had a soaker hose that we placed right along the nerves. So numbing those nerves, decreasing the amount of pain. And it was a disposable. So the patient could go home with it. It would run out in anywhere between 2 to 5 days, depending on the procedure, how long they needed it, decreasing their amount of pain, decreasing the amount of narcotics that the patient needed to take. I loved that product.
So was it like the externally mounted CGM, the constant glucose monitor, or you just like detach it, or just a belt worn?
No, it was so imagine a tiny little soaker hose like inside your body. In a layer of tissue that just had holes all along and then when you were done with it, you could actually just slide it out and
slide a new one in.
Put a Band-Aid.
No, it was.
Yeah.
So it
placed
wasn't
intraoperatively.
Okay,
yeah,
alrighty.
Yep.
Yeah, you want to slide it in.
Yeah.
No, once you pull it out, you're done.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, no infection. That would. Yeah.
That's a great way to get yourself an infection and sepsis and die.
Yeah. So sometimes you go back to the doctor's office and they would pull it out, but otherwise you could just pull it out at home. It's pretty simple.
So you're just
toss it in the trash.
So you're just sitting there making sure that they install your device properly.
Yeah. So the understanding for a medical device rep is that we are an expert on the product. They are an expert on the patient. And so they are not going back to medical school to learn how to, like when I was doing endomechanical, that was right when surgeons were going from laparotomy to laparoscopy. So they were learning how to use cameras and trocars and minimally invasive. That was a new thing. So they relied a lot on the reps. Where am I placing this trocar? Which one should I use? The camera reps. And so, we went from a 30-minute appendectomy to a 3-hour appendectomy as they're learning this new technique.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
So you got in that industry, you were there for 14 years, you said.
Yep.
And then obviously you're not doing that anymore because you are doing the foundation and land brokerage, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Yep.
How did that transition out of being a medical device representative? How'd you exit that successfully? Because that career path is kind of magnetic. Once you're in, it's really difficult to leave because the money is so good and the energy, the adrenaline is. There's not a lot of careers that you can be in where the money is really good and it's exciting and different every single day. How was leaving for you?
I feel like I'm regretting this decision.
But it's also incredibly hard.
It was
crazy hours. You're imminently disposable by your company. No loyalty at all.
Yeah, my date night attire were scrubs.
Oh yeah,
I would just roll in.
That's why you left, because you didn't want to be a work robot who was never valued correctly.
I don't know. I feel like the awards, I was President's Club, top 10%, all the accolades, everything that the world would say, consistency, doesn't matter what's going on in real estate, doesn't matter what's going on with interest rates. I mean, people are still having surgery, people are still getting sick.
Oh yeah.
And so it was always consistent. My husband was building his Custom Homes of Texas business. And as he was building that, I was the W-2, the golden ticket that the bank wanted to see to allow us to build this business. So 2008 didn't really bother the medical industry. So that part was hard when we had two kids and then a 6-month-old. And it was in the December of 2014. And I'm like, I was at the pinnacle of my career. And I just had this, is this it? I've checked all the boxes.
Yeah.
I love what I do.
Is this all there is?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is this what I was created to do?
Yeah.
You just kind of start having these, like, why am I living and breathing and still here on this earth? And I know growing up, most people would say, I think I was taught, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's such an interesting thing to ask a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, but rather as a believer in Jesus, I believe I was created for a purpose. That's what my Bible says.
That's right.
And so I'm going, well, okay, God, how about you tell me why I was created? And maybe it's for a medical device. I love what I do and all the reasons why. But then if it's not that, then what is it?
Yeah.
But in order to really, to your point, understand what that is going to look like, I'm going to need to leave and get quiet and be still and take time to really create space for that, because I've never had that before. So I resigned January 1st, 2015. with just at the pinnacle of my career, I used my mommy card, and thought, you know what, if I go back to this, then that would be a very natural thing. I took off a couple of years and I went back, and everybody would be like, oh, she took time to be with her family and now she's back. But if it's something different, and I wanted to know. So I went on this 11-month journey of just getting quiet, plugging into my family, my community, asking questions. Didn't know anything about philanthropy. I didn't know anything about human trafficking. I wasn't sexually abused. I didn't know anything about that world that I was about to embark. And then Friday night in November, 11 months into this journey, I went to my husband and I said, ooh, I have all these ideas of these things that I could do. And he said, okay. So I start listing off things of how I can be a better community member. And he just looked at me and said, okay, you can do all these things, all these ideas, but what are you going to do with your hands? They were all ideas. There wasn't anything like to do with my hands, tangible. And I'm like, that's such an odd question. I don't know if it's because he's a man or he's a builder using his hands, it's made sense to him. And so he said, are you going to dig a well or build a school? And I'm like, okay, well, we're international missionaries. That's what you do when you go overseas. You dig wells, build schools and orphanages and those. That made sense, but it was just such an odd question. And so that was my question that night. I said, Lord, what am I going to do with my hands?
Yep.
And it was on a Saturday morning. I sat straight up out of bed and God said to me, you will build an aftercare facility for girls rescued from sex trafficking. And I looked at my husband and I said, we will build an aftercare facility for girls rescued from sex trafficking.
Are we talking 24 hours or less than 24 hours after your husband posed this question to you?
Less than 24 hours. So, and he just looked at me with this.
Yeah, what was his face?
Like, yeah. Because that was tangible.
Mm-hmm. So he was all in?
Yes. Now, granted, still a little taken back by my retirement because I did resign for my career and then I went home and told my husband.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so
that changes the story.
Was your income like integral to the success of keeping the house and the other things?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
And we had just built one of our most elaborate homes because we would build homes. We didn't build specs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We would build our home, and that would become our spec. So it was spectacular, really.
Spectacular.
Yep.
Interesting. So how did you select your marriage therapist after that?
Yes, very expensive marriage therapist. He had one, I had one, then we had one collectively.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine how that would have gone for either myself or my wife if we made such a decision without consultation.
And we're talking legit therapists, not Asti and Spumanti or Bartles and James, right? Okay, all right.
Yep. And this was years because there was, I think, this internal conflict because my husband knew, like this is what she is supposed to be doing. But then there's that natural conflict of, oh shoot, it's all on me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's never been just, we've done this together and she's been so solid and real estate's been so up and down. And it was very much a step of faith on both parts, not without resentment, absolutely creeping in often, especially at the beginning.
Well, yeah, it's a bit of a rug pull.
Yeah.
Or a lot of a rug pull, honestly. But as a husband, he's not free to attack the decision because he agrees with the decision.
Right.
And he knows it's what you're supposed to do. But the way that it was done, I mean, I have empathy for his situation and yours at the same time because, I mean, it's your life and you're the one who's completely disrupted and doing something very new that there's no training manual for, and no one teaches you how to launch a nonprofit for serving, formerly trafficked women.
Right.
Like there's not really a course you can take to teach you how to do that successfully. Right. So how'd you do it? How'd you launch it? Because I mean, this was, around a decade ago. And I mean, McKinney is a great place to have a nonprofit. The local area, the city, the resources are fantastic. But a decade ago, it wasn't nearly as robust as it is now.
Yeah.
So how did that work for you, getting Treasured Vessels Foundation off the ground?
Yeah, I learned in my career in medical device, even though I had a background in science, I didn't have a background in sales. I didn't have a background in corporate America. I didn't have a dad that was like, oh, this is how you put together a resume. So I learned to lean on a lot of people, ask questions, get a lot of counsel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's okay to admit, this is what the Lord's told me to do. What next?
Mm-hmm.
So I called our friend who is an attorney, and he's always been in ministry. His dad was a pastor. And I said, this is what God said. What do I do? And he said, okay, well, we need to set up an LLC, and we need to start a nonprofit, and we need to all the legal things. And oh, you need a board. I'm like, oh, what is that? I've never been to
like a board.
Yeah. Yes.
Cutting board where you lay out the fish or the game that you've getting ready to put in the cooler case.
And even in medical device, I was still a rep. I didn't manage people. I wasn't close to the CEO or really understanding anything outside of this is my territory. These are my doctors. These are my hospitals. And I just put my head down and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was a tremendous learning curve. Never been to a gala before or a fundraiser outside of the church. And because that's a whole different world. A lot of people that are philanthropic, that's what they do. Ladies who lunch,
yes.
They go to galas.
The development
yes.
ecosystem.
All of that.
Yeah.
So I did that for 4 years. Not only learned how do you start a nonprofit? What does this look like? How do you do it right? When do you need an audit? All the business things that I had learned growing up, my parents being entrepreneurs and my husband being an entrepreneur, right, from the business aspect. So I had a good understanding of the business acumen, but then this huge learning curve of just who is being trafficked? What is the problem? If someone is, what does that even mean? Do we need to move? Because it doesn't happen here in the great state of Texas, is my thought. How would we serve them? So if law enforcement has identified somebody and they have this individual in the back of their squad car and they don't have a place to go, why would they take them? Why would they bring her to us? Do we serve boys? Do we serve girls? Do we serve minors? And how do we serve them? And how long do we serve them? And what services do they need? Why in the heck would she come and live with me?
Yeah.
Right? Why would she come and trust us and live with us? What does referral sources look like? So I started visiting with all these other nonprofits in this space, but whether that be drug rehab or homelessness or eating disorder, I started learning all of these things overlapped with the population that we were going to be serving, pregnancy centers, not only the anti-trafficking on the legislative piece, but all of the in-between, and really was able to put together a package, so to speak, that was a deliverable program. Okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. And we opened in January of 2020.
Something happened in the spring of 2020.
Oh,
yeah,
a
thing.
I'm hearing all of this, and I'm thinking, well, the timing of this, we're getting pretty close to COVID land.
Yeah.
And you were 2 months old as an organization when the first lockdown hit.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Well, we started the organization in 2016 on the awareness and education piece.
Okay.
And then we opened the Safe House January of 2020.
Gotcha.
So we had been pretty established in the community talking about what we planned on doing while bringing the education and the awareness piece, and the advocacy piece, and meeting with survivors and really understanding what we're about to do when it comes to opening a Safe House. So January 2020, when we opened, we got our first resident. We said we're going to serve 18 to 24-year-old ladies. And we would like for them to be clean and sober for at least 72 hours. We're not going to have the medical, infrastructure to be able to detox someone.
Mm-hmm.
And then not pregnant. So we said not pregnant, 18 to 24 years old, and clean and sober for 72 hours. I got a call from the sheriff's department, and the sheriff said, Alicia, I've been hearing about this great thing that you're about to do. And I'm so glad that you're open. We have a lady, she's sleeping now on the park bench outside. And she is a couple of years older than what you mentioned. So she's 27. I said, okay. I said, she's also pregnant and she smoked meth this morning. Long pause, take that piece of paper that says what we're going to do, like, oh, this is what we take. And then you just kind of wad it up and you throw it away and say, okay. So reached out to our resources to learn about substance abuse and said, hey, what about this drug? Can you support us? Yes. Reached out to the pregnancy resources that we had made relationships with. Yes. Y'all do you. Alicia, you guys do TVF and what you do, and then we'll take care of the other two items. I'm like, okay. So we did. So she came in and we had a full house, and then COVID happened. And it was just an interesting dynamic because the girls are in the home, right? And we're not really going outside of the home or not really active out in the community as this healing journey. We were leasing a home, had a lot of property. And so as the world is going through what it's going through, we were showing up kind of, okay, ready? Before you cross the threshold into the home and what you're about to be present, knowing that everything else is on fire, and falling apart, to be able to show up that way was an interesting challenge because you had to show up for them. They didn't know that people were losing their jobs and people were getting sick and what was going on in the news, and really kind of protecting them from what was happening, and making it about their healing journey and not necessarily the chaos that we were potentially going to be bringing into the home.
So how does someone get out? Like, the entire process of trafficking is all about misdirection, misrepresentation. Hey, travel here, have this fun thing, a weekend getaway, a friend of a friend has a house, and next thing you know, you find yourself drugged and gagged and thrown in the back of a vehicle, and now you're a product.
Yeah.
All of that happens without the consent of the individual. Like, someone may want to have a good time, so to speak, which takes a lot of different flavors, obviously. Someone may allow themselves to consume illicit drugs because they want to experience it. They've never done it before or whatever. Maybe they're in that lifestyle, but they obviously, being trafficked is not the same as, regularly partaking in illegal drugs. Those two, there's a Venn diagram overlap, but I'm not saying that, all people who are trafficked are regularly doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing.
Sure.
That's definitely not the case.
Sure.
There's plenty of people that get into it innocently.
Yep.
How does someone get out? Because just the act of getting out, you're essentially a prisoner, essentially a slave. How does one get out?
So let me back up. So less than 1% of individuals in the U.S. are abducted. Young people, these individuals that are being trafficked, oftentimes are going willingly. There is some sort of force, fraud, or coercion. I meet them on the internet. I send them some photos. They say, if you don't send me more photos, I will send this to your parents. I will send this to your boss. I will send this to your pastor. And so now this person feels trapped. I sent those photos. She's saying, because he's saying, you sent me these photos. I didn't make you send these photos. Or you came to the party. You said you needed to, some girls, they work in a strip club, for example. I was working in a strip club. I was there for a year, and then my manager came to me and said, we have some clients that need more from you. And she says, no, that's not what I signed up for. And he says, well, then you don't work here anymore. And she's got bills to pay. She may have children at home. And so there's usually some sort of carrot being dangled to where they feel this force, fraud, or coercion, pressure to. Now, granted, let me back up to when she was a child. Most, if not all, the highest percentage were sexually abused as a child. So take someone who was sexually abused as a child and was taught, this is what you're good for. This is what the language that was years and decades and decades. So by the time she's 13, 14, and then someone says, you mean to help you get out of this cycle? I can give you a better life than your stepdad abusing you. I can give you a good paying job. I can help you buy those things that you want to buy. Whatever it is that he can figure out how to manipulate and groom her or him on the internet through a relationship, then she's hooked, right? Then and there's oftentimes the no turning back. So when we get them, it is someone else usually pointing out over a period of time, hey, what's happening to you is not right. This wasn't your fault. Like trying to really help someone unpack that to help them say, you're right. I will die if I keep up this lifestyle. I will die if I don't come home and bring back the money that he expected me to make. So there is that, they have to be able to make that decision, because when we get someone when a parent calls or law enforcement calls and says, oh my goodness, I have this wonderful girl, I've been working with her and she's so great and we really believe in her. I'm like, but does she believe that she's ready for the healing that she needs? Is she ready? Because it's, when you come to a safe house and when you join a program, she's committing to not having her phone. She's committing to structure. She's really surrendering to the process, which can be if anybody's ever healed from something really hard, you're like, man, if I could just stay in it, that would have been easier than pulling myself out and having to do the hard work of healing. So that you can be arrested and get out. But oftentimes they're arrested, they're being punished by the trafficker for not bringing home the money. Maybe he has her kids. Maybe his mom is watching her kids. Yeah. And that's being used as collateral, right? And so we have to be really mindful of kicking down the door, taking the girl and assuming that she's like, oh, thank you so much for rescuing me. It's like, well, it's more complex than that.
It's always more complex than that. It reminds me of the whole conversation of acute versus chronic homelessness.
Sure.
Or the unhoused, as we say. And the word homeless is trying to be like retired, kind of like
unsheltered,
unhoused, kind of like how, mental illness, we don't call people retarded anymore.
That's right.
There's different kinds of deficiencies, but we don't. Anyways, all that to say, it really reminds me of the unhoused situation, because there's acute situations and there's chronic situations, and McKinney has a pretty sizable unhoused population because we sit at the intersection of two major highways, and a lot of other places in Collin County dump their problems on us because we have some resources. We've got a very strong nonprofit community, such that other cities just drop their people here. I'm looking at you, parts of Frisco that I know for sure have dropped their unhoused population off at a place here in McKinney and basically left them here and said, all right, cool, good luck. And question number one for anybody in that kind of situation, which it sounds very much like what you're talking about, is, does this person want to leave this kind of life? Or are they in some way choosing to be living under a bridge, sleeping on a cot in a sleeping bag and panhandling to make money to buy their McDonald's and their preferred drug or whatever? And it's like, if they don't want to be out of that life, there's nothing you can do to get them out of that life. And I would imagine that you guys feel very similarly about these women, that it is almost exclusively women, right? There's not really any guys that are in trafficking.
No. Some studies would say upwards of 40% are boys, are men. They present differently. They oftentimes, they're not living in a house with multiple men and are like the ladies are and have a pimp. So they present differently. But yes, we do have a huge challenge with men that are being trafficked as well. Yeah. And I think of like choices, right? If she's being raped 10 to 15 times a day, and that is all she's ever known, the choice of getting out, you would be shocked at when the girls come to us, they're still very confused. Why would you want to help me? I'm dirty. I shouldn't be here. Someone else's should be here. The choices that I've made, it's like, oh, but really were those choices that you made? Or is this a lifestyle that this is all you've ever known psychologically, like unpacking everything that's happened to her. So we do ACEs when they come in, the adverse childhood experiences. There's 10 questions. And so the questions are, were your parents divorced? And then you answer yes or no. So if you answer yes, you score a 1. Anybody in your family struggle with mental health? Or did anybody go to jail? Or were you sexually or physically abused, emotionally abused? Or did you witness your caregiver being abused by someone like this? So you answer 10 of those questions. And did anybody, have you ever, there's a weapon. When you went to school, did you ever feel like you were cared for? Like meaning in the wintertime when it's 30 degrees, did you have on shorts and a t-shirt because you weren't properly taken care of? Have you ever, been to the doctor? All of these things. 10 questions. An average American, when this study was done, scored a 1.6.
Mm-hmm.
These girls are scoring an 8.9. So you just kind of go, wow, what opportunities for success did so many of these young ladies experience?
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not for all of the girls that have come through the safe house, but so many of them have that, and you're just shocked. How are you living today? How are you even able to function? And so when they start going through the healing process, you see the resilience that's wild. And you start seeing this leader rise up. There's no complacency. There is just this energy of how can I give back to the community? I want to get my master's. I'm going to go to medical school. You see these huge dreams come alive again because of the grit that she's endured what she's endured. And now she's here and now has an opportunity to just almost start all over, but just to have this strong foundation of self-respect again,
Mm-hmm.
worthiness, and a story that really can be the catalyst to propel her to this next season.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know that I expected that when we first started. You just kind of, they're so wounded. And I can't really understand. I can't relate. And so you start serving people and you have such compassion and empathy. And then you start seeing these lionesses, these warrior spirits. You kind of go, wow. And that's the part that was just organic, serving this population going, okay, we thought it was going to look like this January 2020. And now come to today, our program looks different. The empowerment that we have for the girls, everything looks so different than when we first started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do want to say that this is probably one of the heaviest sessions that we've had.
Oh, this episode's going to come with a disclaimer.
Yeah, that there is so much here, but I'm glad that you wrap that up with the girls that come through TVF, that you have success stories, and that you see the redemption that's happened there. And I'm certain that there are parents, and I'm thinking probably because in our demographic it's probably more moms that listen than dads.
Yeah, it's like 2 to 1.
With and you talked about that, when they commit to the program, that they are understanding that they are going to be separated from their cell phone.
Yeah.
What on earth can parents do right now to protect their children, given that cell phone is part of the daily landscape?
Right. And our residents would tell you that thing got me in more trouble than actually was helpful, right? We're going to stay connected with the community. No, that was a tool that was used to promote activity, whether that be photos and videos and what communication between the buyer. So she's either ready or she's not. But usually it's I don't have a phone. I threw it out because she had many phones, burner phones, whatever. Or she's here, take it. Mm-hmm. It's what got me in trouble in the first place. Mm-hmm. So I think for parents, especially even for me in the conversations with my kids, we talk about internet safety. I have software on their phones to where if things are to be blocked, but I also get messages, whether text messages, if my kids say that if their friend says that they're sad, I get a mental health alert. I mean, you can make it as sensitive as you want, or, as they get older, you can make it less sensitive. So that's just one thing. I think that we have more responsibility. If you're choosing to give them a device, then we have a responsibility as parents, as caregivers, to oversee that and don't just give it to them.
You've got to stay locked in.
Yeah, I mean, like
you got to stay aware.
Like gaming. Gaming is such a huge way. Wherever the kids are, they are. The perpetrators are there. Whether it's a trafficker, whether it's a pedophile, whether it's a kidnapper, whatever, the bad guys and gals, they're present because your kids are there. And they know how to exploit the most vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And some people would say foster care kids, those are most vulnerable, or these kinds of kids. I think we could all say, as a young person, when we're little, 10, 12, and we're all going through puberty and all the changes of middle school and high school and all the expectations, that there's a vulnerability in all of us. Mm-hmm. That soon as you let that out there, they're ready. I mean, this is a business for them. They are ready to exploit it, take advantage of it, and put you in a position to where you feel like you can't get out. And then they own you. I mean, some of our girls will say, my owner. They will name. They don't say I have a pimp. Mm-hmm. It's usually I have a boyfriend. Mm-hmm. I have a daddy. I have a guy who loves me. Or, I have an owner. And all of those languages, all of those things, we have to undo and help them understand who safe people are. But open conversations with your kids, open transparency. Like, for example, at my son, when he plays games, he doesn't have headphones on that we can't hear who he's talking to. The screen, I can always walk by and I can always see the screen. There's no reason that a kid should have screens in their own bedroom where they can shut the door. Have them in a public place, anywhere where you can just walk by and see what's on the screen, who they're talking to, what they're talking about. I mean, they could be, but maybe they're not being groomed. Maybe they're being bullied, or maybe they're the bully.
Yep.
Opportunities for conversations. I think this helicopter parent, nobody wants to be a helicopter parent. That left a long time ago when we gave them a cell phone. Mm-hmm. Be a helicopter parent. Be involved. Have conversations.
This is of particular interest to me because I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, 9-year-old boy, 6-year-old girl. And thankfully, my wife and I are 100% on the same page when it comes to technology, when it comes to oversight, when it comes, I'm in risk management. I run an insurance brokerage. All I see is threats everywhere. Yep. I'm wired to see nothing but threats. So these kind of conversations, I just feel like every single family, however old your kids are, if they're not, already in high school, already in middle school, where, you've already made decisions, and maybe changing patterns is too late for some people, but for most people, it's not.
Right.
And I think having those candid conversations, we've had those conversations because my son was really into Roblox. And then that Roblox thing broke a few months ago. And my wife was like, well, you're never playing Roblox again.
That's right.
And he pitched a big old fit for a couple of days. And then I took him aside and was like, you know why mom said that?
Yeah.
Because here's some stuff you need to know about. And you're too young for some of this, but you know what? I'm going to trust you. And if you want to talk about any of this stuff, if you have big feelings about it, I don't want you laying in bed at night imagining terrible things happening. I I got your back if you need to talk through any of this stuff. Was like, there are some really sick, hurting, messed up people, grown-ups on the internet. And there's plenty of people out there that would treat you really, really badly if they could.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are on those games. A lot of them are acting like they're other kids, but they're not.
Yeah.
And you won't know that until something really terrible happens. And it's our job to protect you from
That's
those
right.
people until you're old enough to make your own informed decisions, until you are a grown up yourself. And even after that, for a few years, you're still going to be needing lots of advice from mom and dad.
Mhm.
And I was like, until that point, sorry, bud, you're my responsibility. And it's, number one job of a dad is to protect your family.
Yes.
And provide for them, of course, be a pastor, be the provider.
Right.
But I believe as a dad, as a husband, my number one responsibility is to protect my family from anyone and anything who would do them any sort of harm, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, whatever. So for those, the parents out there, and this is a heavy episode. Like I said at the beginning, we'll record the disclaimer separately. It simply says, hey folks, this is a heavy episode. Maybe listen to this when you're not around, impressionable ears that maybe don't need to hear some of this stuff yet. But know what your kids are up to. Be invasive. If you don't have parental stuff on their phone, on their devices, get now.
And it doesn't have to always be in the form of punishment. It just this is an open door for a conversation. Hey, I heard you were talking to Johnny about such and such. What were you guys talking about? Tell me a little bit more. And it does, because sometimes kids get home from school and people are like, I don't, hey, how was school today, Billy? It was fine.
Fine.
What'd you do?
Boy answer.
Learn. An average age of a young boy that sees porn for the very first time is 8 years old.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So we were in this focus group years ago, and just to imagine what that does to what we now know, what that does to a little boy's brain, is that all of these men and women were sitting in a circle, and that question was asked, do you remember the first time you had a sip of alcohol? Nobody in the room could remember. You remember the first time that you smoked a cigarette, said your first cuss word, whatever. Very few people could ever remember. When is the first time you saw porn, magazine, whatever? Every man in that circle stood up.
Yep.
They told you what they saw, when they saw it, who they were with. And I'm like, how powerful of a drug that is, that now, that used to be in a way high up in a convenience store with a cover on it, and underneath somebody's bed or whatever, and now it's just so available in the hands of our kids. So we have to have conversations, as uncomfortable as it is sometimes. Just like there's a book that you can do with little kids. It's called Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. And it just describes the difference between on a kid's level and on a parent comfort level, good pictures and bad pictures. And if you see a bad picture, it's okay. You can come tell mommy and daddy need to fix their face, and know, like, how are we going to, and just build that open door policy with our kids to where they do feel safe to communicate to us what's going on.
And number one advice I hear over and over again from professionals is when they disclose something to you, the absolute most important thing is that you must not freak out in any way.
Yep.
The very first thing is, thank you for trusting me enough to tell me that. I really appreciate that. Let's figure it out together.
Yep.
Allison and I have already rehearsed this. It hasn't happened for us yet that we know of. Because we ask our kids invasive questions all the time.
Yep.
That's just how we parent. Like, sorry, hey, you're our responsibility. We love you. We take good care of you. And part of being a parent is getting in your business.
Yep.
So we haven't had to do this yet, but I know for sure it's coming. Something is going to happen that our kids will disclose to us that we're going to want to freaking hit the wall with, but we can't, because then they're less likely to disclose the next thing.
That's right.
And especially as the older they get, the more important it is that they feel confident. Hey, mom and dad have my back. If something goes totally sideways, I know mom and dad have my back, and I'm not going to even consider not telling them, because I need them.
Yep.
I need them to tell me what to do or advise me on how to handle this, how to handle the thoughts that I'm thinking, the feelings that I'm feeling. Like, the only way you get to do that as parents is to not freak out when they tell you something.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. And I think just hearing our girls' stories and going way back, when did it all start to unravel? When did people start missing it? When did the teacher say something, but then it went nowhere? When did mom look away? When did dad become less present? All of these things, setting them up to seek outside
external validation.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're right.
Like, that's the phrase, right?
Yeah.
External validation. I would love to continue this. We are out of time.
Okay. That went by fast.
Yeah, we've been recording for an hour. We have our next episode we got to get started on. We're going to skip the question this time.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's appropriate.
It's occasionally episodes come up where it's totally appropriate to not talk about who would win a fight between a bear and a shark.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay, so what's the best way for people to connect with you? I know we've talked about some heavy stuff, and there's a lot going on with the Treasured Vessels Foundation.
Yeah.
What's the best way for someone that wants to support the work that you're doing, that wants to learn more about how to support their own kids, the young people in their life? What's the best way to do that?
treasuredvessels.org. We have Christ-centered resources for the parents. We also have volunteer opportunities, events, sponsorships.
Cool.
Yep.
And do you need to be a believer for you to consider them for the program?
So interesting. That was an organic evolution as well. At first, we were faith-based. Faith drove us to do everything we do. We made Jesus available to the girls, but as we opened, the more we learned, the more they asked for more Bible studies, more opportunities to serve in the church, more opportunities to get involved. So when we changed how we were from the very beginning, January of 2024, I really felt the conviction from the Lord that where am I in this? And I said, Lord, you're the center. Well, then make me the center. So we are Christ-centered. So when someone interviews, we share with them, this is what our day-to-day looks like. Wherever you are in your journey is your journey, but we want to be completely transparent with you about how our program operates. And there was a study that came out that 90% or more girls were looking for a program that had a spiritual component, oftentimes a Christian faith-based component, that was the biggest, that made the biggest change in their journey of healing that just happened. I know that as a believer, but I don't know that everybody else knows that.
That's right.
But they know that.
Yeah.
That the Creator is going to be the ultimate one that heals them, because when they leave our program, they leave our program. They come back and they mentor, and we still have community, but it's Him that's going to be the most consistent with them 20 years from now, right?
Love it.
I love that.
Let's continue the conversation offline. Treasured Vessels with a D at the end of treasure, and Vessels with an S at the end.
Yep.
Check the show notes for that information, as well as the description if you're watching on YouTube. Alicia Bush, thank you so much for being here. This has been a really productive conversation.
Thanks.
Folks, this has been another episode of the McKinney Podcast, celebrating what makes us unique by nature. We'll catch you next time. Y'all take care. Thanks again for listening to and watching the McKinney Podcast. We drop a brand new episode every Monday morning. We'd love to connect with you and hear your thoughts, suggestions, and guest recommendations. You can message us on Facebook or send an email to us at mail@mckinneypodcast.com. This entire production is a passion project for James and Fred and our lovely wives, Elizabeth and Allison. We're so grateful to have you along for the journey. We look forward to seeing you again next week, and hopefully in person around town. That's all for now, ladies and gentlemen. Make it a great day.